Ladies and gentlemen, it is your RUW General Manager, Alexander Kelly, and I am in a good mood today because not only did I defeat both Max Davidson and Randy Orton at the respective season finale shows, but I have some breaking news. I am here to announce some new signings to both RUW and WEF. Now, some of these are RUW exclusive. When it comes to the new signings to the women's division, they will be included on both RUW and WEF in season 6. However, before we get into that, let's reflect on the wins that I had at both season finale shows. I've already reflected on Max Davidson. No matter how hard he tries, he just cannot defeat Alexander Kelly. And you can't defeat Death Incorporated either. Now, Randy Orton. For once, I have to give you credit. Now, granted, you are a 20-plus year veteran. So obviously, I would expect someone like you to put up more of a fight than Max Davidson did. And you did. Alright, there were parts in the match you whooped my ass. You even went for the RKO, but guess what? Alexander Kelly had that shit scouted. It just seems like no matter how hard Death Incorporated... it just seems that no matter how hard Evolution tries, they cannot put down Death Incorporated. And Evolution, wasn't that your goal? Wasn't your main mission to kill Death Incorporated? We're still standing. Roxanne Perez, you got a little too cocky at RUW Season Finale 5, and you paid the price for it when Kylie Paxley hooked you up, lifted you, and dropped you with the Northern Lights bomb. And Randy Orton, as I stated, you gave me one hell of a fight. More of a fight than Max Davidson ever could. But guess who walked out of season finale 5? A double champion. Your new RUW North American champion. While also retaining my RUW Internet Championship at the same time. What more do I have to prove to Evolution that Death Incorporated has been, currently still is, and always will be more superior than Evolution? But enough of that. All right, we all know that Death Incorporated is much more superior than Evolution ever will be. But ladies and gentlemen, you saw the title of this video, so you are here for it. Okay, I assume you clicked on this video because you saw the title of it. So we're not going to waste any more time. Ladies and gentlemen, here are some new signings to Season 6. All right, we're going to start off with the men's division and then work our way to the women's division. Our first new signing, former WWE Intercontinental Champion. Some people see him as being the future of WWE. And I mean, looking at his track record, former NXT champion, former NXT Tag Team champion. Like, this guy can do it all. Ladies and gentlemen, Braun Breaker has been signed to RUW heading into Season 6. Our next signing is someone Braun Breaker has a lot of history with. Also a former NXT champion. He is a former WWE United States champion as well. Carmelo Hayes will be joining the RUW roster in Season 6. Next, this man has done it all over the world in WWE. This man, I believe, will make a statement to RUW. And he actually used to be part of the RUW roster back in Season 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to RUW, Finn Balor. That is right, we are signing Finn Balor back to RUW. He has agreed to a new contract, and we are getting him in here. Now, when it comes to our next signing, Finn Balor's not going to be happy about this. All right? Someone that he has some bad blood with currently. A man who I see as being a top star in WWE for many years to come. Former Intercontinental Champion. Former NXT North American Champion. Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Welcome to RUW. Next up, this man is a tank. This man is a two-time former WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He was responsible for retiring Goldberg, AJ Styles, and John Cena. Ladies and gentlemen, you know exactly who it is. Gunther. Welcome to RUW. Now, our next one. Another guy who is an absolute tank. Someone you would say is all gas, no brakes. Welcome to RUW, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. I honestly see Jacob Fatu being a threat to RUW in Season 6. You know, we've got the King of the Ring tournament coming up. We got the Tournament of Hardcore coming up in Season 6. Jacob Fatu could very well run through everybody. Now, our next one. A lot of people see him as being one of the future stars of WWE. And I would have to agree. This man is one of the most athletic competitors that WWE has ever seen. This man is a former Deadlock Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Welcome to the RUW roster, Javon Evans. So I would say that rounds out the singles division. However, we have two tag teams that I have decided to sign to RUW. Because I feel the tag team division needs a little spice. You know, Death Incorporated, we're kind of tired of fighting the same people. And you know, the same tag teams like to come around. People like Evolution, people like the Undisputed Era, people like the Twisted Nation. They want to come around and say, "Oh, we run RUW." You know, we're the top stars, not these guys. So the tag team division needs a little refreshment, okay? And I believe that the current World Tag Team Champions, Ashface and the Demon, will face some serious competition when Jimmy and Jey Uso join the RUW roster in Season 6. That is right. RUW is signing the Usos. Jimmy and Jey. We all know their accomplishments. Multi-time tag team champion. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they are the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE. However, they are not the only tag team. Because as I stated, we have two. This next team has unfortunately never teamed up in WWE. However, they were a prominent tag team in AEW. Former AEW tag team champions. And in WWE, they have been on their singles paths. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next and final tag team will be the Lucha Brothers. Both Penta and Rey Fenix will be signed to RUW heading into Season 6. So that rounds out the men's division. All right? That's all the new signings to the men's division here in RUW. Now, we move on to the women's division. And when it comes to the women's division, they will be featured on both WEF and RUW. So our first signing in the women's division, former WWE United States champion. She's been all over the world. She's conquered Japan. Former NXT Women's Champion. RUW and WEF want to give a very warm welcome to Julia. That is right, Julia. Now part of both the WEF and RUW women's divisions. However, she, as well as everybody else currently on, or currently in the women's divisions in both companies, may face a threat. Because I have decided to add our next woman to the roster. Absolute threat in Japan, conquered WWE, former NXT Women's Champion, former WWE Women's Champion, WWE Women's World Champion, former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. Some of you may know where I'm going with this. And maybe your guess will be right. Ladies and gentlemen, our next signing to the women's division is Io Sky. Now, Rhea Ripley is already in the women's division in both WEF and RUW. She is the current WEF Women's Champion. Now, Io Sky may have her sights set on that title. She may have her sights set on the RUW Women's World Championship. It's only a matter of time. Next up, I believe this woman is very underrated. However, I have been seeing a lot of praise online from this woman. And I believe she deserves the praise. This woman carried the NXT Women's Championship for, I want to say, a year, maybe a little over a year. And she deserves her flowers, because I think she is an incredibly hard worker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome JC Jane to the WEF and RUW Women's Division. Next up, I mentioned Io Sky was a threat. However, our next signing to the women's division may be even more of a threat than Io Sky, because this woman has a take no prisoners attitude. All right? I mentioned a certain signing in the men's division just a little bit ago, and some would say these two are a perfect pair. Liv Morgan, welcome to RUW and WEF. Yeah, I mentioned Dominic Mysterio earlier. Those two, I would say, make a perfect pair. So it wouldn't be surprising to see them work together as a unit in RUW. Now, our next signing, I believe, I would say is underrated. Okay? She was the first ever WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion. Some of you already know who it is. I would say she's very underrated. She is one hell of a talent for WWE, and I believe she will be one hell of a talent for both WEF and RUW. So, Lyra Valkyria, welcome to both RUW and WEF. It is a pleasure to have you here, and we can't wait to see what you can offer. Now, our final signing in the women's division I believe she deserves to be part of both WEF and RUW. A woman who has worked her ass off, athletic as all hell, agile as all hell. She can do stuff that I wouldn't even think were humanly possible. And she is the current WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion. Welcome, Sol Ruka, to WEF and RUW heading into season 6. So, ladies and gentlemen, that rounds it out. Those are all the new signings to both WEF and RUW. Now, when it comes to the men's division, the names that I mentioned will strictly be a part of RUW. But as I stated, when it comes to the women's division, they will be part of both WEF and RUW. So those are the names that we have decided to pick up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this video. If you did, let us know what you think about the new signings in the comments below. Season 6 is right around the corner, and ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss it. Remember, take care of yourself and love yourself. RUW General Manager Alexander Kelly, out.